Okay, welcome to my quote unquote first Turn for Sparks controversy podcast. Last time I was on with my friend Dave Campos, which he and I had discussed F1 things related, mainly the controversial side of things, hence the name in the title of this podcast series, Turn for Sparks controversy. Not only will I be covering up F1 controversial stuff regarding not just F1, but other forms of motorsport, such as NASCAR and IndyCar. Mainly NASCAR, because I'm more close and associated with that than IndyCar. I haven't got myself fully into IndyCar as of yet, but maybe down the line, that will change. Speaking of NASCAR, I have my friend Jessica on here, who is a big time NASCAR fan. Jessica, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing okay. How about you, Calvin?
I'm doing all right myself. We've met back in 2016 via Instagram. We first met in person in 2017 in the fall race in Dover Downs, the same race that Kyle Busch won.
That is correct. That's where Chase Elliott almost got his first career win, but passed by Kyle Busch in the last few laps, which was very interesting.
Which Chase Elliott, that was one of his many second place finishes in that 24 ride, at least from what I can remember, because he finished second countless times, just couldn't get it done.
Yes,
Yeah, he
what I
won the
remember
dual
to
race.
think,
He won the dual race that year, but we don't count that.
yeah, I remember him finishing second. Was it Kyle Larson when he won at Michigan in 2017, or was it Joey Logano?
Both
He
races.
finished second to somebody.
Wait, you
I
said
forget.
2017?
Yeah.
Both races were won by I can't even talk. Was won by Kyle Larson.
Oh, I thought that was 16. Whoopsies.
It was 16 that Kyle Larson won. When you said Logano and Kyle Larson, you're right in that regard
Yeah.
because they both won there in
Yes.
2016. Logano won the first
Okay.
race there. Larson won the second time around there, which Chase Elliott, that was the one he finished second to.
Yes.
Now, does it ring a bell? Finished second to
Yeah, I'm
Kyle
sorry.
Larson.
I had to
Won
think
the dual
about that
race.
for a moment.
He also won, as I said earlier, he also won both races in 2017. But the one that sticks out to me the most regarding that, the June race in 2017, when he
Yeah.
raced in Lightning McQueen colors to promote Cars 3. Banger movie, by the way.
Oh, that was a good car. I like that
There
car.
was a lot of things going on when Cars 3 was a thing. What was it,
Mm-hmm.
7 years ago now? Damn,
Something like
time
that.
flies so fast. Not only was Kyle Larson wasn't the only one to promote Cars 3. You remember Pocono a few weeks later,
Yes.
or wait, a week after? Hold on.
Gotta do research.
I'm actually thinking about this in my head. I'm pretty sure it was Michigan when Kyle Larson won in the Lightning McQueen colors. It was the week before that. You remember when Pocono happened, when Ryan Blaney won,
Yes, I was actually at that race live.
as was
That
I.
was my first time ever. That was my first time ever at Pocono, by the way.
It was my seventh time when Blaney won. Seventh visit at Pocono.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was there to see Logano win after bumping Mark Martin out of the way, which many say that Mark Martin should have won. Can't say that I blame him. Also went to the Pennsylvania 400 from 2012. That was won by Jeff Gordon, which that one is mainly remembered
Wow.
for that huge rainstorm that intervened. Went to both races in 2013. Went to the first one in 2014 that Dale Earnhardt Jr. won in the National Guard colors.
That was perfect because you were
Big
a Dale Jr. fan. He won in person. Get any better than that?
Exactly. I actually have footage uploaded on my not my Turn for Productions YouTube channel, but on my other YouTube account. That is NASCAR fan 20 space Eric Jones fan. You'll find footage of Dale Jr. doing his burnout on that
Mm-hmm.
YouTube channel. I also was there when Montreux Jr. won in 2015, June 7th, 2015. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, would you believe it that Montreux Jr. was racing for Furniture Row at the time, right? When he
Oh,
won,
I
it
remember
was
that
his
team.
third career win.
Yep, him and was it Barney Vister? Something like that.
Yep, Barney Visser, who owned the team. It was his,
Yep,
as a team owner, second win.
based in Colorado.
I think the only team based in Colorado, because all the rest of the teams, 80, 90% from North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget the Wood brothers. They're in Virginia.
Stewart, Virginia. Yep.
I knew that one.
They have won 99 races thus far. Still waiting for that 100. Just when will that come? We all thought Matt DiBenedetto would do it to get that Wood Brothers their 100, but was kicked out of the ride from 2022 in favor of Harrison Burton. And we all know the story of what happened after that because Harrison, yeah, it's his first couple of seasons as of right now, but is it me or do I feel like we can consider Harrison Burton a bust, so to say? Well, I wouldn't say a
Yeah, he
bust, so to say. I would say more so he was rushed. That's the better way of putting it.
has a problem recently. They rush too many people up in these series, and they don't live up to what their potential is.
Can you name the drivers from the top of your head in that regard?
Haley Deegan, like, she didn't do too much in truck. She either caused herself bad luck or bad luck came to her.
Particularly in the
And
truck series.
and it's a shame because she has potential. They just need to stop doing this to people.
Because the more that happens, the more these kids have potential. And then when the potential has shown, it's more often than not the results that other teams and the fans, let alone, are what they're looking for.
Well, that and one of my favorites, like Daniel Suarez, he was rushed up. He went to Joe Gibbs, and then he went to Haas. Now he's with Trackhouse. He hasn't done what I think he could do. I
Let
think
me
he'd
ask you
be a
this, though.
multi.
You remember when he won the Xfinity Series championship in 2016?
Yes,
Do you
I love
think
that.
that had something to do with his move the following year in 17, jumping
Well,
straight to the Cup Series?
that and Carl Edwards announcing his retirement also played a part in it too.
Now, I've heard a lot of people saying how much of a controversial fest the Homestead race was in 2016 and the Cup Series side of things.
Yeah,
Talk about the ending portion of that restart
yeah, where
that
Joey
Carl
Logano
Edwards
wrecked.
shot himself in the
Yeah,
foot. Not literally, but you get the hint.
and yeah, he took a pretty nice hit to the wall too.
Carl Edwards, that was a nasty shot. Then got hit it from behind after as he was coming
Mm-hmm.
right back up. I forget who he was
Yeah,
hit by. I think it was Montreux Jr. that hit him in the back. I gotta see the footage again because it's been so long
yes,
since I've
it
seen
has
the
been a while.
footage, let alone the race itself. Again, it all makes sense because Suarez won the championship in the Xfinity Series level in the 19 ride. Carl Edwards during that time
Mm-hmm.
was in the 19 ride in the Cup Series.
Right.
But again, this comes back to what I said. I've heard people saying of what happened regarding the finish is what led to Carl Edwards calling it quits at season's end.
Yeah, and that was the closest he's ever come to winning the title. Like he had a legitimate shot, and Joey Logano took that away from him.
Either that or Carl Edwards made a blocking. Well, it was clear as day he made a blocking attempt, but came down too late, and we all know what happened. Crashes out, big wreck happens. You could say that's Logano's fault. You could say Edwards was to blame. But in the end, it all turned on its head when Jimmy Johnson was there at the right place at the right time and won his
Right.
seventh championship.
His seventh and final.
His seventh and final championship. Yes. I feel like one of my friends mentioned this to me. Lucky number 7, that's the highest you can
That's right.
reach. Because after that 7th championship, bad luck comes your way. We've seen it with Jimmy
Ooh,
Johnson.
yeah.
We've seen it with Michael Schumacher to an extent, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and
I
Jessica.
mean, nowadays,
Go ahead.
after you win one championship, you have a bad season.
You say even one championship.
Yeah.
Do you remember Brad Keselowski's 2013 season?
I wasn't into the sport then. So, I mean, I know, was that the year Penske at Texas had controversy around them with something tampering with the cars?
2013, you say?
Yes.
That
Was that
one,
that year?
well, what you just said, that one is unfamiliar to me. I do know, as far as
Oh,
who the race winners was concerned, Kyle Busch won the first race in Texas, and then the fall race was won by Jimmy Johnson. But as far as what you just said, I don't remember hearing about that. But you would get into the sport 1 year later, which I'll get to in a little bit after I discuss Keselowski. Because you remember in 2012, he won
yeah.
the title in the Cup Series.
Yes.
Then the following year, he had a, so to say, championship hangover. In other words, a bad
Yep.
season. Some would argue that it wasn't a bad season. It was still a good season, which he didn't make the chase, from what I can remember. Keselowski did not make the cut. But he did win Charlotte in the fall. That's the only highlight that I remember regarding his 2013 season.
Like
Now,
Kyle Larson didn't have the greatest 2022 season compared to 21.
well, it was still relatively a good season, a solid season for
Oh yeah.
Lawson. But as far as the championship is concerned, where you compare it night and day, as far as his results,
Yeah.
2021 he had won 10 races.
10. Yep.
2022, the following year, he won California. Did he win Watkins? Yeah, he did win Watkins Glen,
Yes.
and he also won Homestead. 3 race wins.
Yeah, 3 to 10, that's a big difference.
A big 180 to an extent. I say
Yeah.
to an extent because Lawson still had a relatively solid 2022.
Yeah, and
But
I
then
don't think
again,
he made the champion.
he did
He
not
didn't
make
make
the
the
championship.
championship four. I don't think he made the championship four that year, did he?
I don't think he did. The drivers that come to mind that made the championship for Logano, who won the championship, as we know, Chastain, who did the infamous Hail Millen maneuver in Martinsville that got him in, that knocked Hamlin out. We've had a couple of conversations about this here and there that you got into NASCAR in 2014. If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, the Coke Zero 400 from Daytona was your first race that you watched, unless I'm
Yes,
very
that's
much
when Eric.
mistaken,
No, that is correct. That's where Eric Almirola won his very first race.
albeit rain shortened, but still.
Yes, and he won with the Richard Petty. I think it was U.S. Auto Force car, I believe.
Yes, it was a U.S. Air Force car.
Air Force. Okay, I don't know why that was Auto Force.
That race comes to mind because of that, and also that big wreck that happened. Well, actually, there
Yeah.
were 2 big wrecks that happened. One that was involving Dale Earnhardt Jr., Trevor Bayne. Those are the 2 that I remember that was involved in one of the crashes. Then you have the other big wreck where Casey Kane went sideways and then clipped Joey Logano, and all hell broke loose from there. And Kyle Busch flipped upside down. Those are the
Yes.
three fact. Those are the 3 things that I mainly remember regarding the 2014 Coke Zero Firecracker 400. Back when it was in July,
Have they?
before the July weekend.
Yes. Yeah,
And,
that's why I had rain because
and
it's Florida.
frankly, I miss that. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I liked it as the regular season finale. It brought uncertainty, brought tension because you're like, holy moly, my chances of getting into the chase late in Daytona of all tracks. Like that has a level of excitement, at least from a fan's perspective.
It's divided. Some like it, some don't. Me personally, I don't mind it. Just wish this is coming from an old school person, by the way. But again, I don't mind it. Just kind of wish it was back to the 4th of July weekend. As far as the regular season, as far as the race to kick off or close off the regular season is concerned, maybe back at Richmond because that's where it originally was. But still,
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the change. Now, the drivers that were in the Final Four in 2022, Logano, Chastain, Christopher Bell, and Chase Elliott. It could have been Denny Hamlin, but like I've said earlier, moments ago, Chastain with that Hail Melon maneuver at Martinsville, which I
Oh,
have the diecast of,
that we we are never seeing that ever again.
because they banned it. Thank God they
Yep,
banned it.
they made it illegal, but it was something so unexpected. Like it was actually sort of cool. Like he
You see
desperately,
that, and you probably do that in video games.
yes,
Which, have you
he
done
just
that
he
before
just.
in a video game, particularly Martinsville, since,
Mm,
well, that's where it was done.
Oh, I have not. I haven't touched a NASCAR video game in maybe a year or two.
NASCAR 2004, NASCAR Thunder 2004, that is, you said from time to time was your first NASCAR video game, yes?
Actually, 2005 is what my dad and I would play the most because that has the modified series, the production cars, the truck series, the Bush series, which is now Xfinity series, and the Nextel Cup series, which is now the Cup series.
Exactly, just simply the Cup Series. That
Yeah,
game is now
no more.
20 years old, or about to be 20
Yes.
in several months from now. But still, 20 years old now. NASCAR
Yes.
2005 is, with Kevin Harvick being on the front cover. But here's the thing. He went winless in Cup, at least in 2004. Yeah, he
Yeah.
won Las Vegas, but that was the Busch Series race. For Cup, he didn't win anything. Neither did RCR as a whole, because RCR went
Right.
winless the whole of 2004 in the Cup Series. Jeff Burton didn't win. Robbie Gordon obviously didn't win. The RCR had a winless 2004 season, again, on the Cup Series side. Did you know
Yeah.
that Jeremy Mayfield was originally supposed to be the cover athlete for NASCAR 2005?
No, I did not know that.
When you played NASCAR 2005 last time, you may have noticed that Mayfield is not present in the game anywhere. Apparently, there's a reason behind that. Because they changed it to Kevin Harvick at the last minute, I would guess Mayfield was disgusted by it and went to EA Sports and said, "Get me off this damn game if I'm not going to be on the cover." And that's what they did. That's what I've heard. That's what I've
Right.
heard, at least,
Well, actually, Dale Senior's in the game too.
which he is, which he is,
I
as
think
unlockable.
he's yeah, I think he's in like where you start at the bottom, like you start at the truck series, you work your way up, or it's in like single player mode. It's one of those two.
You must be referring to the fight to the top mode, which is the career mode.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen my husband play as him when he's played just by himself.
Fight to the top. You start in the modified series and you work your way up from there. Truck series and
Yes. Well,
Xfinity, well, Bush series as it was called back then. And then before you know it, you're in the Nextel Cup series. The first year under the Nextel partnership in 2004, and Sunoco for that matter, since Sunoco, since
yes,
2004, has been the official fuel of NASCAR.
it
Again,
has.
would you believe it's been 20 years since then?
It, time flies.
Yes, it does. I was not into the sport as much, obviously, as I am now, because we were both a lot younger, obviously, 20 years ago. Frankly, I don't even recall the races that I've watched because it was that long ago.
Depending on when the game came out, I was
August
either 4 or
31st,
5 years
2004
old.
was when it came out.
Yeah, then I turned 5, which is hard to believe.
Slightly a few years younger than you in that sense.
Yes.
2004 in NASCAR standards was from what I've heard, and I can agree, it was a relatively solid and a really good season. Even though the chase format, because that was when it was first used, it was split. Some people liked it, some people don't. You know why they implemented the chase, right?
To make it fair for everybody.
That and also to avoid a repeat of 2003. Because
Okay.
do you remember when Matt Kenseth won the 2003 Winston Cup Championship?
Vaguely.
He won that championship by a country mile, despite one race win. But many people seem to
Hmm.
forget, from what I've seen at least, that he was hella consistent with over 20 top fives, 20 top 10 finishes, or over 20 top 10 finishes, and was there at the right place at the right time most of the time. And consistency is key. And when it's key, that particular person comes out on top. And in Matt Kenseth's case in 2003, won the championship in the Winston Cup, the last
Yeah.
Winston Cup champion. And again, to avoid a repeat of 2003, because Matt Kenseth literally won the championship on merit, they changed it up for 2004 to make the competition for the championship much more close, much more tight, so
Yeah,
to
and
say.
have like an even playing field for everybody.
Back then, only 10 drivers were eligible for the chase for the championship. Now, since 2014,
16.
make that 16.
Oh, the championship for 2014. That was a good chase. I missed that.
Some people can beg to differ on that, which is why it's in the name, Turn 4 Sparks Controversy. Now, you say 2014 was a good chase for the championship, yes?
Yeah.
Explain.
The package that year and every track they went to, the racing was just so exciting. You did not know who was actually going to win until that checker flag blew.
You know, it's like that with obviously after and before 2014, but what I don't get is that, Jessica, you may have noticed that the NASCAR fan base is split.
Yes.
2003, again, when Matt Kenseth won the championship, when they had the Winston Cup points format, NASCAR went to the chase style format in 2004. But when Matt Kenseth won it in 2003, people complained. Why? Again, one race win still wins the championship, but many people forget, from what I've seen, they tend to forget that he was hella consistent, and consistency is key.
Yeah.
Yet,
He was consistent at the right time.
2004, when they implemented the chase for the championship, or the chase for the Nextel Cup in 2004, people complained. And when we had this current chase format since 2014, people complain. You notice a trend, don't you?
Yes. Fans like to complain over everything.
Exactly. Let alone they don't know what they want.
Yes.
Me and this friend of mine, we talk about it all the time, every now and again, and bring it up.
Yeah, it's like people like, there's some people that like the next gen car, and there's people out there that don't like the next gen car.
Me personally, it took me a while to get used to the next gen in 2022, because
I'm still skeptical.
I was not a fan of the number placement.
One more.
But as the
I was not a
race
fan of it.
weekends progressed, I've grown to get used to it, and I have. Because now, in other words, nowadays, I don't mind the number placement now. I don't mind it. Again, that when the race weekends progressed, I don't mind the change now. Because now it's passed on me, and now I like it. It's grown on me, basically.
I was not a fan of that, like the number placement as well, but also this one lug nut rule. Like, how is one lug nut going to hold on an entire tire that took, what, 4 or 5 in the old cars?
They're trying to be like F1. That's all I gotta say about
Yeah,
that.
that's the problem. We're not F1. We're NASCAR. We're
Well,
different.
guess what? From what I've seen and from what I'm hearing, NASCAR is trying to be like F1. You have the one
Yeah,
lug
is
nut
that why?
rule. You have the race for the
Is that?
championship series, which is
Yeah, but is that
literally
why they're
tough to
trying to come
survive.
out with electric? They're trying to come out with electric cars for us. Why do we need that? years ago there was rumors that NASCAR was going to make the cars quieter, and I'm like, why would you do that? You're taking out a huge element.
Exactly,
You know,
because
everybody
look,
when
let
you're
me
at the
ask you a
track, you like
question.
to hear
What got you into the sport?
the video game, NASCAR 2005.
Was it what I'm trying to get at is that the noise that the cars made? Did that got you intrigued?
Yeah. Yes.
Despite it being loud as hell and almost rupturing your eardrums, at least for me. But I'm used to it.
That's why I have hearing protection, so I can still protect my ears but still listen to the cars.
I sometimes do that, but I sometimes don't do that because I've been going to races, NASCAR events since 2012. So at this point, I'm used to it. And if wondering
Right.
if I came home with my ears ringing as hell, or ringing like hell, and it was like that for the next few days. Yes, that's happened to me before. More specifically, I remember vividly the 2017 Dover fall race, where I got home, ears were still ringing, and it was like that for the next few days. But again, I'm used to it. I'm used to it. And obviously, now the ringing back then, it's no more. Jessica, you said that you got into the sport by playing NASCAR 2005.
Yes, with my father.
Didn't you say that before we got on, you mentioned this time and time again that you played as Jeff Gordon every now and again, if not every single time?
I played as Jeff every single time.
You must be a really big Jeff Gordon fan in that sense.
Yeah, being fans of him with my dad actually brought us closer because we rooted for the same person every single week.
2014, you got into the sport. That was when Jeff Gordon was starting to was stepping his game up, considering he won 4 races and had
Yes,
well,
four,
at first had a
four
shot at the
big important
championship,
races.
but Texas happened and Phoenix to an extent.
Yeah,
When I say
we're
Texas
so
2014 in the
Texas.
fall, I'm sure that there were a lot of people out there that don't want to bring that up because of obvious reasons that happened in the end, in the closing stages. But back to what we were saying, you and your father were rooting for Jeff Gordon almost every single, if not every single week.
Yes,
And that brought you and him closer.
yes,
Is your father still a NASCAR fan?
yes, he still is, but he's a fan of Chase Elliott, who my husband's also a fan of, but my mom's a Kyle Busch fan. So we're sort of like a divided household.
Where you all root for a different driver in that sense?
Yes, my father and my husband root for the same person, but my mom and I are different, which also brings us together because we like to pick on each other's drivers. Like if they wreck or something,
Which
we'll make jokes.
you were a big Kevin Harvick head years ago,
Yes,
but now you're a Larson head.
I've always been a fan of Larson since I went to my first race at Dover, where my uncle bought a shirt for me of Kyle Larson. It was his Target car.
2014, then your first race
Yes, yes.
when he was a rookie at the time
Mm-hmm.
and won Rookie of the Year for good measure. I say what
Now
I
look at him.
said
He's succeeded.
earlier because Bristol 2021, the night race that is, that's when you started to turn your head on Kevin Harvick, unless I'm very much
Yes.
mistaken.
Oh no, he handled that very, very poorly.
Which he did. One of my friends,
Yes.
I had this discussion with one of my friends as it happened 2 years, well, almost 3 years now. I remember one of my friends saying, "Don't poke the bear," and that Kevin Harvick was racing for a position. What I'm saying is that when you race in a position to where you have a shot for a race win and you haven't won in so long, in over a year, you kind of get desperate, is
Yes.
what I'm trying to point out here and what my friend that I was talking to at the time was pointing out. I think Kevin Harvick was actually in the chase in 2021, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken. He was
Yeah, because when he wrecked himself at the Roval that year, he essentially took him out of the championship four
out of the
because he
championship
did not
hunt,
want to be.
you mean?
Yeah, he did not want to be wrecked by Chase Elliott. That is why every fan knew he went into that wall on purpose, but claims he did not. But we can see what was going on in his mind.
When Harvick, in other words, what he did was deliberate and it was a
Yes,
failed attempt.
he would rather crash into the wall than Chase Elliott take him out. He couldn't handle that.
I saw the YouTube post, the thumbnail or the title of that particular YouTube post, I think it was by NRF Productions. He said Karen Harvick in the thumbnail or the title of his video of
Yeah,
that particular moment. Can't say that I blame him really because that was the meme. In 2021 and 2023 for that matter, his recent seasons where Harvick did not win a race. What got you into liking Kevin Harvick though in 2014?
it was because of how good he was doing at Dover. I think it was 20 that race. He was doing really good. I don't know, just something drew him to me. I can't really put a pinpoint on my why I
Was
liked him.
was it his championship?
I mean, yeah, that was really cool. His first year at SHR and brings him the championship.
I remember we
I
brought
mean, I
this
was
up.
rooting.
I remember we brought this up 7 years ago, and I asked you, as in regards to Kevin Harvick, which team did he fail best at? Richard Childress Racing or Stuart Haas Racing?
I think he did better at Stuart Haas.
You still stand by what you said 7 years ago, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of wins with them.
Compared,
He retired with that compared to Richard Childress, and he retired with the team. He could have left and went somewhere else, but he
exactly,
stayed because he had a good relationship with Tony and Gene Haas.
exactly. And hard to believe that it's been a full-on decade now when he signed on. But now he's retired.
Yep, officially
Josh
done.
Josh Berry fills in that vacant seat. Has big shoes to fill.
Well, I'm concerned for Josh. I really like him,
So you're
but
saying
I'm
he's
worried.
rushed,
Yeah, I'm worried he's going to be rushed because he did great in the Xfinity series with Junior Motorsports.
which he did.
But I think Josh Berry won Dover in 2022 when I was there, which was really cool to see.
2022
Yes,
at Dover. Yes, he did.
yes,
The first in the spring, right?
yes.
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
because
Yes, he did.
Dover's down to one race, so it's always going to be the spring race.
Yes, he did. Another one that's rushed that I've had a friend of mine say, and he's probably listening to this podcast as we speak. Carson Hocevar.
Yo, my mom is a huge Carson Hocevar fan. She loves him. She even told me a couple weeks ago. She's like, I don't know who I want to root for more this season. Do I root for Kyle Busch more or Carson Hocevar? I'm like, Mom, whenever one works out, just root for the other one.
But question is, does Carson Hocevar deserve a seat in the Cup Series, or is it too early for him to be in Cup?
I think it was last year. He had some races where he was up there. Like he was running with the big dogs, even though he's running for a little team. And then something happened where all the drivers were against him. So it's tough to say if he should be there or
You
not.
know, for some odd reason, the Truck Series race from Phoenix a few months ago just popped in my mind.
Yes, that whole controversy. I'm so glad I did not watch that race.
You and another friend of mine that I know of did not watch that race live. Neither did I. Because there were what? 4 overtime attempts, from what I can remember.
Yeah, that race took way longer than it should have. My mom literally left work early to go watch that because she loves watching all the championship races. And she's like, I don't ever want to see that ever again.
In other words, she wasn't a fan of the finish.
No, I don't think any fan would have
Not
loved that
not
finish.
a single soul who I come to had said that they liked the finish. I haven't met a
Yeah.
single soul who said that. Everybody did not like the finish because of how poorly it was handled. Even Tony Stewart had something
Yeah,
to say about that.
yeah, and it sort of like made you concerned because it set you the tone for the weekend. You're like, what if all the other races are like this?
Thankfully, that ain't the case. That wasn't the case for the
No, there
Xfinity Series or the Cup
the
Series.
the Xfinity race was exciting. Like a close finish, literally for the title. You can't get any better than that.
You say that, I'm thinking of 2021 when Daniel Hemrick won the Xfinity title.
Okay.
I forget who he was side
Um,
by side with coming to the line. Yeah, I forget who he was side
wait,
by
don't you
side with coming to
wait?
the line.
Don't you mean 2023?
When Cole Custer won the championship. 2021
Oh,
speaking,
that.
when Daniel Hemrick won.
Oh,
But you remember when Hemrick won the 2021 Xfinity Series championship?
vaguely. All I remember from that weekend was Kyle Larson winning.
Now the question is, do you have Kyle Larson merchandise? I say as in diecast
You,
hats.
oh, I have diecast. I have hoodies. I have hats. I have shirts. I'm actually wearing
You have
my Kyle
everything.
Larson shirt.
Well, almost everything. I say almost because do you have, I don't know if it's up for sale or not. You could probably find it on eBay, but do you have one of his helmets that he wore?
No, I can't justify myself
Mhm.
paying all that money.
In fact, I remember coming across something on eBay, which F1 related. I was looking up a Mika Hakkinen merchandise, and it came with a full set: the fire suit, his helmet, which is from 1998, by the way. Race one. I don't know if it's still up on eBay or not. The pricing that I saw for that was mind-boggling. Ready to hear it?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Over $6,000.
Yeah, I definitely don't have the money for that. I'm content with the merchandise I have.
Same.
I'm actually wearing my favorite Kyle Larson shirt right now. It's one that I bought myself at Dover. I
Was it the
tried to give
same
my
one that you
husband
wore at
hints to buy.
Pocono?
No, this one actually says every day, and it has a picture of all of his three cars on the back, like his sprint car, his midget, his cup car. I tried to get my husband to buy me this at Dover. He did not, and I'm like,
Oh,
I don't want this shirt to go away. So I went and bought it for myself.
all day, every day. Pure
Mm-hmm.
racing. I swear, he wins
Yeah.
anywhere,
Yep.
anything, anytime Kyle Larson does. Asphalt, dirt,
He's a
he
big deal.
wins again. Everything, everywhere, any day, any night, anytime. Regarding Kyle Larson, Larson, Larson can drive. I mean, the results speak for themselves. I remember
Yes.
I did a I did a podcast. No, it wasn't a podcast. It was a live stream about 4 years ago. I had two of my friends on. One of them mentioned that he's heard that Kyle Larson would be the next Jeff Gordon.
And you know what's funny? That was his favorite driver growing up is Jeff Gordon. There's pictures of him as a little boy and his Jeff Gordon merchandise, and it is so adorable.
You know what's funny about that though? You know how he mentioned that Kyle Larson, when he won 10 races in 2021 and the championship,
Yes.
Jeff Gordon did the same thing. 97 won 10 races in the championship. 98 he went an even further approach, winning 13 races in the championship.
Good
13
time.
race win record that he set in 1998, a record that hasn't been touched so or surpassed since.
I mean, Kyle Larson, he could have won a couple more races and maybe tied or beat that.
But
But,
that hasn't happened.
yeah, and it probably never will.
Well, I mean, with this new car, you never know. And funny enough, Kyle Larson, again, another irony. How many races did he win in 2021? Well, we've said it numerous times at this point. 10.
10.
Do you remember where he set his first win of the season?
Was that Auto Club?
Vegas.
Oh, no. Vegas. I knew somewhere on the West Coast. Darn, I feel not like a real Kyle Larson fan for not
Jimmy
knowing that.
Johnson in 2007 also won 10 races. Where was Jimmy Johnson's first win in 2007?
Vegas.
There you go. Both
So it looks
got
like
their first win in Vegas.
Vegas
Both won 10 races.
sets the tone.
Both won the championship for Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Johnson, before 2021, was the last to reach 10 race wins in a single season. Then Kyle Larson tied that record and won the championship.
Speaking of 10, I was there for Jimmy Johnson's 10th and final Dover win. That was also his final win in general.
June 2017. I was there as well.
Yep.
I was sitting
That
in
was a
turn
hot
1,
day.
high above turn 1.
Me too.
Wait, you were too?
Yeah. We sat in turn 1.
High
Every
above?
race we went to at Dover. Yeah.
How and why did I
Well,
not see you?
There were so many people. And I'm really still mad to this day. They took that grandstand out.
They did?
Yeah. You're no longer allowed to sit over there. Not turn 2 either. So you either have to sit at the start finish line, turn 3 or turn 4, which we now reside in turn 4.
I sat in turn 4 a couple of times. My last 2 visits there,
It's
2018
nice.
in the fall and 2019 in the fall.
It's nice, but turn 1 was always my favorite.
And better to an extent. Yeah, I can agree with you on that
Yeah.
regard. I was also there in turn 4 in 2015 when Johnson won his 10th Dover win at the time.
And final.
Would get his 11th and final one in 2017.
And he won that in a controversial finish, too.
When they wrecked and the race ended on the
Yeah.
caution. In 2017, at least. I remember 2015 when he won it, it was finished under green. 2017, they finished it under caution when that big wreck unfolded in turn 4.
They had the overtime line rule, and that went to I think it was the O in Dover. And he passed that, but it was still controversial. Should they have threw the flag or just let them race?
Which you mentioned the overtime rule. I remember that was a thing implemented in 2016, which was first tested at the Sprint Unlimited in 2016. I forget who crashed out when they were racing to the overtime line, but that was another controversial thing. Another thing too that was controversial, the caution clock. Don't get me started with that mess.
That is a horrible rule they came up with.
Not to mention, can we just agree that that is the dumbest rule, period?
I mean, there's times where it did work if a car was really damaged. Like, it does not need to come back out on the track and just cause more cautions.
Exactly.
But if a driver has a little bit of damage, okay, let them repair it.
Yet NASCAR sees otherwise. Man, can we just say that 2016 was one hell of an eventful 2017 as well, to an extent. An eventful year, to say the least.
Well, if we're speaking of 2016, do you remember Johnson's crash at Dover? Where his gear shift locked and everybody ran into him?
Are you talking about that restart attempt in the spring race?
Yes.
I do remember, yes. Were you there?
They were all, yes. I was in turn 1, and they were all crashing right there. And that's when Dale Jr. took a nasty hit into the wall, which brought back a little bit of his concussion symptoms.
Which would really turn on its head at Michigan a few weeks later, a week or a few weeks later after that. which
You got
ultimately
it.
that was the main source why he retired at the end of 2017.
I think it's for the best, and it's sort of nice that he comes back for what, a couple races a year for the Xfinity Series.
Which one of them was Bristol several months ago. I can't
I was actually
imagine
at that as well.
what your husband's reaction was when he was leading, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was in the Xfinity race at Bristol months ago.
Oh, you don't want to know. I mean, he already didn't like that I rooted for anybody else but Dale Jr., but I'm a
Wait, what?
hardcore Justin Allgaier fan. He doesn't like that I rooted for anybody else but Dale Jr., but I'm sorry. I've been a Justin Allgaier fan.
Since day
My
one.
mom and I have loved him since yeah, since day one we got into the sport.
Ain't nobody can tell you different on who you root for and who you can't root for. Because at the end of the day, you root for
Yeah.
who you root for, period.
And guess what? Justin Allgaier won. That was a big deal to me.
And that was, and at that moment, Jessica, I bet you got the last laugh to a degree.
Yeah, I was literally crying my eyes out. And I also saw Justin Allgaier win live in person at Dover in 2018 during that weekend.
2018, you say, the spring race.
Yeah. Yes. Which that was a weekend I was very deathly sick. But I still went to
But
all the races,
you
still
still
had a good
watched
time.
the race in person regardless.
Yes. And it's funny, we had the 41-minute rain delay during the cup race in 2018.
I remember
I
that.
was already sick.
Exactly 41-minute rain delay.
Yeah, I literally stayed out in my seats. I did not go under the stands to get cover. I stayed out in that rain with my sweatshirt on. I didn't feel it was right to go duck for cover.
You sick?
Yes,
Jessica, you do know with all that rain, it's gonna make you even more sick, right?
it didn't.
The racing gods had a plan then, considering in the end it was worth it. I say that because Harvick won.
Yep. It was a good weekend for me. Allgaier won the Xfinity race. Kevin Harvick won the cup race. And at the time, I was a Matt Crafton fan in the truck series, and he came close to winning at Dover that weekend, too.
But he didn't win. Crafton did. He did
No,
not win it.
which was fine.
I forget who won the truck race. That's how
I
long
think
ago
Johnny
it's been.
Sauter. Johnny Sauter. Johnny Sauter won it. Which
Wasn't Noah Gragson in contention for the win, but crashed out? Because I'm pretty sure it was him and Sauter side by side, and they made contact going into three, and Gregson lost it and crashed.
I
If I'm
really
wrong,
don't
then
remember.
I don't remember. I vaguely remember because this was 2018, over half a decade ago. Recently, as you know, I've been into F1. My YouTube channel is mainly focused on F1, and I just recently posted a new video that's F1 related. Did you see that one, by the way?
I have not had a chance to watch it.
You've got homework to do tonight, then, in that sense.
Well, we're having a party for my husband at his parents' house in a little
Because
while,
today's his
so
birthday.
I'll.
As
Yes,
we're recording, it's his birthday today.
yes,
And also, it's Lewis Hamilton's birthday as well.
and Daniel Suarez's too, because I remember on this date, how many years ago it was announced that he was going to SHR.
In 2019.
Yep,
5 years
and I was very
ago.
excited. Yep.
I think one of the races he was doing really good at regarding Suarez in Stewart-Haas equipment was in Kentucky. I could be wrong when I say that, though,
Oh
because
yeah,
again, it's been
that
so
was one
long.
of his. No, that was one of his better tracks.
And Kyle Busch, even though he was racing for Joe Gibbs Racing at the
Oh yeah.
time.
Well, that and
And
Brad Keselowski
Keselowski.
was good there too.
Keselowski has the most
I
wins
think
there
we're good.
in the Cup standards. For Cup standards, he won the most
Yeah,
races there. 3 races, in fact.
I,
2012,
I
2014, and
miss
2016.
I miss the old Kentucky, like before it got repaved.
I was about to say, you miss Kentucky in general?
No, just the old one, not the
The
new one.
older version from 2011 to 20, or even
Was
before
it
20, or even before 2011, up to 2015. Again, before
yes.
they had an overhaul in 2016.
Yeah, same goes. I miss the old Texas and I miss the old Atlanta.
You know what I wish for
Like,
that NASCAR should do in the future? Move the
not
season
repaved track
finale back to Atlanta
and make it the old Atlanta too.
and not the super speed. I don't mind it being the super speedway as long as they move it back, the season finale back to Atlanta. That's all. That's it. Either Atlanta or Homestead, one of the two. Now, we mentioned the overtime rule. Did
Yes.
you like that rule at the time or no?
No, no.
Ex
That was another rule they should have never seen the light of day. That just caused too many headaches for everybody. Like, let them finish when they finish. All right. I don't mind when they take the white flag. Like, that's it. That's fine.
Indianapolis
But
2017 Cup Series comes to mind. Daytona Xfinity 2017 in the summer race. Those two come to mind the most, for me at least. The caution clock as well, that was a thing in the Truck Series in 2016. That one too. We mentioned that one too. Other than that, Jessica, you got any expectations on what you're looking out for this upcoming 2024 season?
I'm thinking I got a good feeling this is going to be a good season for Larson.
You,
I don't know why. It's just
you sense it
something I'm
happening.
excited to see. Yes, like I could see him winning the title. He came oh so close last year. And I was very happy to see Ryan Blaney win because he is another driver I root for.
This is another stop. This is another
And
thing that I want to discuss real quick, but keep going.
now, one thing I am concerned about, I just read an article recently where he was talking with Kenny Wallace that he plans on retiring before he's 40. Now,
Uh,
keep in mind, he's 31 right now. So we got less than 10 years left with Kyle Larson. And I don't know if I'm ready for him to retire.
And when that time comes, that's probably going to be rough for you.
Yes.
I don't know if it's going to be more rough than what Jeff Gordon's retirement was like, but I don't know which will be more rough with Jeff Gordon retired or Kyle Larson when he retires. I don't know which going to be. I don't
I
know which
think
one's going to be more rough for you.
I think Kyle Larson, because I've been a fan of him longer and I've seen more, even when Brad Keselowski retires, that's going to be heartbreaking too, because I love Brad. I've had a love-hate relationship with him.
Love-hate relationship.
Oh yeah, everybody hated him in 2014 and a couple years after that where he would not use his head. But I see ever since he had kids, he's mellowed. He's been such a sweet guy, and I love what he does for our country's veterans too. Trying to find housing for them, trying to help them find jobs, just get them back on their feet.
That's one of the things too why I respect Keselowski.
Yes, not too many drivers are doing that.
Exactly, because they're occupied with their family or other things
Yeah,
in racing that they're doing.
and I love how he every time he wins, he gets that American flag and does the burnout with it.
That's been a trademark ever since. That's been the trademark for the last
Mm-hmm.
how many years now?
Can't even tell you. It's been a while.
You say you also like Ryan Blaney.
Yes.
My question is, do you think here's another one. Do you think he deserved the 2023 Cup Series championship?
Yeah, he had a good season. He had one of his best seasons. This is a long time coming for him. I knew he had the talent. He just needed everything to go right for him.
He was at the right place at the right. I have Racing Reference up right now. Ryan Blaney's average finish from 2023 was a 14.1. You want to know Kyle Lawson's? His average finish was a 14.6.
See, there you go.
William Byron, his average finish was an 11.0 for Byron.
Well, Byron just didn't have the car that day, and poor Christopher Bell never had the chance.
If we were in the Winston Cup format, Byron would have been the champion. Again, if
Oh,
they
yeah,
still use the
Byron
Winston
had,
Cup
what was it, like
points.
6 wins?
Yes,
Yeah.
6 race wins, 15 top fives, 21 top 10 finishes.
Yep.
Christopher Bell, his average finish, a 12.9. Many people
That's
say,
the thing about
I've
this
seen
format.
people say that Ryan Blaney had the worst average finish than the rest of the championship four. When what I'm seeing here, again, Blaney, a 14.1 average finish compared to Lawson's average finish of a 14.6. And both on equal with 18 top 10 finishes. So to your point, I can see where you're coming from with Blaney being deserved as the champion this past season.
Yes, that's what this format. You don't know who's going to be the champion till the end.
Which, you
You
know
can say,
how
"Oh,
with the stage
this guy."
racing, this is another thing. Stage racing. You know why the stage races were, you know why the stage racing format was implemented in 2017, right?
To make the race not as seem as long, like give the drivers a little bit of break.
That and increase the driver's chances of making the chase. Because, when you finish in the top 10 in each of the first two stages, you get 10 points, 9 points, 8 points, 7, 6,
Seven
5, 4,
point
3,
six
2,
five
1.
four three two one. Yeah. Yeah.
Those points will benefit you and help you get it into the chase if you're consistent enough. And even in the chase, again, same thing. You get points for finishing in the top 10 in the first two stages. Those will
Yes.
help benefit you to get into a possible chance of getting into the next round. Again, if you're consistent enough. But my biggest
Well,
question,
that and
what is the point of stage racing if that's what matters? Because when what I'm saying is, what is the point of stage racing in the last race of the season when whoever finishes ahead of one another is the winner? And if the stage
that
races are implemented just for points, there is no point. Because again, Final Four, the championship race, whoever finishes ahead is the champion. So, do you get that? Because I don't.
no, but I mean, I understand it for the rest of the season because they want to bring the field back together. So one person does not have a huge advantage the entire time. They wanted to bring the excitement factor back.
You remember 2016, the Coca-Cola 600, when Martin Truex Jr. literally won that
Oh,
race by a
won all
country
the,
mile?
yeah, he won all four
Don't you have a
segments. Yeah.
diecast of that?
I don't think so. I don't have many die casts anymore.
You sold them, didn't you?
I had to make money.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
I still have my special ones, and to be honest with you, that's all that matters to me.
Even your Jeff Gordon Dover win from 2014.
Oh, that is never getting sold. My husband also got me, I think it was his championship car from 21 when Kyle Larson won.
Kyle
I'll
Larson's
never get
championship.
rid of that either. Yeah, that means too much to me.
What about Kevin Harvick, his first win, diecast?
I think I gave that to my husband.
Well, in that regard, it should be in the same apartment because you and him live in the same apartment.
Right, but he has a lot of his stuff in what's called a storage unit because we only
Oh,
have a yay big apartment.
the apartment is must be small. You can fit so much, but you can fit very little.
Yes, because if you would have seen what his basement looked like in his parents' house, there was digits amount of merchandise in there. There was a lot.
I can imagine how many are that in that regard.
Yes, we had to individually wrap all his 164 cars in bubble wrap and tape them and dust them off.
How many 164s exactly, if you remember?
Essentially, just Dale Jr. alone, he has about 300 of.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's not including like Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, any other driver.
In the 164s alone.
Yeah. Oh, he has big ones too. We know how many of those he has too.
How many
He has a lot,
exactly?
let's just say. He keeps a tracker on his phone with Dale Jr. cars. And I think Dale Sr. he has a lot of too.
Dale Sr. and Dale Jr. I can say the same thing for
Oh,
myself as far as my collection is concerned. I even showcase a few. diecast in my collection as far as watching my Daytona 500 documentaries, as far as that is concerned, which the
Mm-hmm.
2004 Daytona 500 documentary will be set to come out on the day of the race, the anniversary of the race, which is, in other words, February 15th, 2024, which will be the 20th
That'll
anniversary.
be that'll be here before you know it.
Again, on the day, that's when it's planned to come out. So mark your calendars. Mark your calendars if you haven't
Got
already.
gotta check it out.
If you've seen the 2001 Daytona 500 documentary that I did, that one alone is, aside from my Lewis Hamilton 2008 championship video, the '01 500 documentary that I did, that one is probably the most successful video and yet the most stressful that I've ever done.
I believe it.
I say stressful because I started production work in November of 2020 and got the whole thing done in 2 months. And the video itself is over 2 hours long. And you'll never guess how many people were on board with the project.
A lot.
12 to be exact. The most
That is
cast,
a lot.
the most cast I've ever had on for a project. A record that still stands 3 years later. Yeah, the Jessica, the project was big, very big. That race, the 2001 Daytona 500, it's, I'm sure we all know this by now. It's very remembered, very vividly, but for the wrong and not so good reasons. And those reasons, I'm pretty sure we know the story of what happened. Hard to believe that it's been 23 years since that race. But one thing is definitely more than certain if you take away the last lap of that race. One
Mm-hmm.
thing is definitely more than certain, it was definitely way better than the 2000 Daytona 500. Have you seen footage of that particular race? The 2000 Daytona
I have
500?
not.
You've yet to see the whole race
Yeah.
of the 2000 Daytona 500.
Yes.
You want my saying on it?
What did you say?
Don't watch it. I beg you. Don't watch it.
Okay. Okay, good. So then I'm doing okay.
Do you, because you remember the 20, I'm trying to think what race it was. I've been watching F1 for so long, so I got to ask Jessica, do you remember the plate races that we had recently? Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we have single file line freight trains in the Daytona
Oh,
races and Talladega races recently?
yes. That gets boring.
You'll see that a lot in the 2000 Daytona 500. I'm telling you that now. So you may want to grab something to get yourself energized to watch the whole race of that if you're interested in watching that, if you are interested in watching that, because again, it's a single file freight train the whole race. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Sr. himself dubbed it best at the end of it, saying that it was the worst Daytona 500 race that he's seen in a long, long time. Wasn't there another controversial moment that happened in the last 6 years? I can name another one. Do you remember when Kevin Harvick won Vegas, the spring race? Do you know that a lot of people were concerned of that race? Well, not concerned, but they got that race in particular had everyone talking because of how, you know what I'm talking about, right? The Kevin Harvick's rear windshield,
Yeah. Yes.
how it was
Yeah. And then he
odd.
won Phoenix the week he won the Phoenix the week after that, and he got out of the car and his team was surrounding him, and he pointed to the glass to show NASCAR like, "Hey, this is legal."
I think he was docked points after winning in Vegas because of how odd looking the rear windshield was, where his name was
Yeah.
on the back of the car.
And
That's
they
what I
took
was referring to. How odd looking that looked.
yeah, they took away his win too.
I thought his win still stood. Yeah, I'm pretty sure his
Not
win
that I
still
know of.
stands, but he was held accountable he was held accountable for it, from what I can remember. Won 8 races that year in 2018, but did not win the championship. Man, the big three. It was him, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr., but yet all three of them did not win the championship. Joey Logano did. Which,
Yeah.
are you a Joey Logano fan?
2022. No.
So we got another person that doesn't like Joey Logano. I've met a lot of people in that regard who doesn't like Logano, but why don't you like Logano?
He just can sometimes be a guy that's like, yeah, I'm better than you. When in reality, you're not. I don't
Elaborate.
know. He's got that type of attitude. No wonder why he doesn't have friends.
And a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
I can
Kyle
remember
Busch being one of them.
I can remember another, Kevin Harvick. That's another one too.
Oh, yes. That was another one.
Particularly 2010. Pocono and Bristol in the nationwide race at least. Pocono for the Cup race. And the Cup Series again, but 5 years later in the Sprint Unlimited. I remember that one vividly when post race they came in, Harvick and Logano were rubbing sheet metal going into the pits after the race concluded, and then they were going back and forth. Logano was trying to tell Harvick and trying to calm him down, and there was a push going wrong, and things spiraled from there and got out of control. It's on the Radioactive episode, 2015 Sprint Unlimited Radioactive. It's on there. I'm pretty sure it's still up on Fox Sports' YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Pocono 2010, though, that one sticks out to me as well. Because you remember that one? The first Pocono race, that is, when Kevin Harvick
I
spun
do.
Joey Logano in turn 3.
Is that where Joey Logano said Delano wears the fire suit in the family? Was that race?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thought,
That's the
thought
one.
so.
When Logano was a sophomore in Cup, by the way. And when the year got his first pole position, too, which was the Bristol Spring race. But yeah, Logano was a sophomore. Well, technically he did spin out because he did a 360 at the end of the spin. Or I say spin because when Harvick tapped Logano in turn 3, Logano pretty much pulled a drift. He saved it, kept it off the wall, and kept it off of Harvick and everyone else around him. But again, he did a 360 at the end of the slide. Hence why I said he spun. What was another controversial moment that you can think of regarding the NASCAR side of things?
2015. Kyle Busch winning the title.
Yet he broke his leg in the Xfinity Series at Daytona, missed
Yes.
11 races in the
Yes.
Cup Series, yet won the
And
championship.
he got the waiver from NASCAR where he had to be in the top 30 in points and win at least one race. Granted, he did do that. Yes.
When he
He
won
checked all his
Sonoma
boxes.
and New Hampshire
Yes.
and Kentucky and Indianapolis.
Yes. He had a great season. I'm not going to deny that. But was he deserving to be with everybody that raced all those weeks? Is where I question.
So you're saying that Kyle Busch does not deserve the championship then?
Yeah. Like, look
Then
at
who,
Chase Elliott. He was out for how long?
after,
And he
wait a
didn't
minute,
like,
wait. You're talking about his 2023 season when he had that leg, I think
yes,
he
when
injured his leg.
he injured his leg snowboarding.
Yes, that's what it was. And then Charlotte happened and was
Yep.
silent for another
He was
race.
suspended. Yes.
We all thought that NASCAR was going to pull off a 2013 where they would add Jeff Gordon in at the last minute. We all
Yep.
thought they were going to do the same thing 10 years later in 2023 when they add Chase Elliott in at the last minute for the sake of, well, fan service. Thank God that didn't happen. But Chase Elliott he had a very eventful 2023. Question is, can he learn from his mistakes from 2023 and have a better 2024?
Well, what I'm concerned with in the future is Mr. H telling all his drivers that they can't be in extracurriculars. Because look at Alex Bowman. He was out with his back injury
From a sprint car race.
with a sprint car. You know, Kyle Larson can get hurt wherever
Also in a
too.
sprint car race. I don't think that hasn't happened to him as of yet.
No, knock on wood, but I'm waiting for that day.
Oh?
And I can understand it from yeah, I can understand it from both sides. I can understand from Mr. H's side, but in Kyle Larson's point, he races these other races to better himself. Granted, he doesn't need that, but he does that every year because he wants to be better than the last.
Another driver too, William Byron.
Yeah.
24 and
Yes.
24. Let me repeat that
Right.
again. 24 in 24. That's the slogan. I'm sure one of my
We'll see
friends
what
who's a
kind of
big William Byron fan is listening to this. I'm sure you get the reference.
we'll have to see what William Byron does this season. Is he going to have another breakout season, or is last year just going to be a fluke?
Only time will tell. And I've heard one of my friends say that William Byron will wreck out in the Daytona 500, or something bad will happen to him in the Daytona 500, like it has been in his every single Daytona 500 he attempts. 2018, he spun off. 2018, he spun off, was out of contention of a good finish. 2019, same thing, got caught up in a wreck, got caught up in a wreck from what I can remember. 2020, crashed out very early in the race, finished dead last. 2021 was involved in a wreck. 2022, again, involved in the wreck. 2023, I think the same thing, involved in a wreck. I swear, if that becomes a trend for what? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, for the seventh year in a row, as if bad luck comes his way again, which I hope it doesn't. Only time will tell. But hopefully he can get that 24 back in the victory lane in the Daytona 500, which was last done in 2005, courtesy of Jeff Gordon, which I have the diecast of. 97,
Well, I'm
99, and
hoping.
2005. Jeff Gordon won it in the 24,
Well,
as I'm sure we all
I'm
know,
hoping.
especially the Jeff Gordon fans out there.
I'm hoping that Kyle Larson wins his first Daytona 500.
Well, he's got a championship under his belt. Possibility that he could win the
Yeah.
500 if good fortune comes his way at these plate tracks, Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah. Plate tracks have not been kind to Kyle Larson.
It hasn't been kind to him since the start, actually, especially.
Yeah.
You
2013 Daytona and Xfinity Series.
you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to ask, do you remember 2013?
Sorry.
You remember 2013 in
But
the
don't
nationwide
forget,
race? You took the words right out of my mouth.
and then don't forget, what year was that Talladega? I think he was still on the 42 car. Don't forget that too, when he
2019
took a
in the
big
spring
tumble.
race.
2019, okay.
In the spring race. Yep,
Yep.
2019. And
That was
this
another.
past year, 2023, the spring race again, Talladega, when Ryan Preece came and he slammed to
Yes.
the side of him.
Yeah, his eyes just, they were horrible to look at.
Regarding Preece,
Yeah, where was that Daytona where
that
that
was
happened?
Daytona when Ryan Preece had that huge
Well,
tumble. But in
yeah,
regards with him, I was referring to him at Talladega in the spring last year when he slammed to the side of Lawson's car. Again, this
that was
goes back
scary
to my
too.
point. Lawson in the plate tracks, Daytona and Talladega, it has not been his cup of tea since the beginning, apparently. And especially,
Yeah,
you remember 2017, the Daytona 500, when he was leading in the last laps?
yeah, of
He ran out of fuel.
course.
And Chase
It
Elliott,
always
too.
happens. Yeah, I don't care about that one as much.
You remember who won?
The 17 500?
Yes.
Oh, let's bring it back. That's like 7 years ago. I mean, I remember 2016 where it was a close finish between Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex.
That
Oh,
was.
wait, Kurt Busch.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that was a good win.
I remember Mike Joyce called very vividly when he came to the line. Very vividly. From Las Vegas, the 2004 champion of the series, Kurt Busch for Gene Haas and Tony Stewart wins the Daytona 500. I remember
I
that quote
loved his crew
very
chief's
vividly.
reaction.
What
I
you think?
remember Kurt Busch's crew chief reaction
Tony
to him
Gibson.
winning the 500.
Tony
Tony
Gibson.
Gibson. I love
Wait a
that
minute.
guy.
Didn't you go to an event where you met a vast majority of the crew chiefs several years ago? I thought you did.
No, I don't think I've.
Didn't you see Larry McReynolds in person?
Oh, first show in 2018, which is held in my home state, which is Pennsylvania. It's
La-
a convention in Oaks, Pennsylvania.
You met, because I'm pretty sure you met Larry McReynolds, didn't you?
Yeah, he was not kind in person. He was a you know what. But I did meet Jeff Hammond a year or two before Larry McReynolds. That was amazing. He was so sweet to my dad and I. Like we had like a 5 minute conversation about stuff. And I made him a bracelet too.
For Jeff Hammond?
Yep. And I made one for Richard Petty when I met him too. I made one for Joey Logano when I met him.
When you liked Logano at the time?
Yes.
But now you don't like him.
He's depends on what he's doing.
How things can change within a couple
Yes.
years. I figured you met Larry McReynolds at one point, and Jeff Hammond. Both of them were the OGs in the sport as crew chiefs back in the day. Jeff Hammond, I remember
Mm-hmm.
specifically, was with Darrell Waltrip when Darrell Waltrip was at his peak, even at the end of his career. They were working together
I
during the
also
Hedge
met Ray
Motorsports days,
Everingham a
and
couple
When
years
Darrell
ago
Waltrip had
too.
his own team going for him. Last time they were together was 1997, from what I can remember. 1997 was the
Mm-hmm.
last time Hammond and Waltrip worked together. But for Larry McReynolds, he won the Daytona 500. Well, Hammond also won the 500 in '89, the race that Darrell Waltrip won. Huge strategy call right there to stay out longer than expected, and they won on fumes in the 1999 edition of the Daytona 500. I've yet to get a diecast of that, and I'm hoping that I do. And I'm hoping to make a documentary of that race down the line. But back to Larry McReynolds, he also won the 500 as a crew chief, won the Daytona 500 as a crew chief for Davey Allison in 1992 and Dale Earnhardt in 1998. Two-time winner in that regard. His last win regarding Davey Allison was Richmond in the spring of 1993. Man, if only that helicopter crash never happened, who knows what wonders could have been like and how much more Davey achieved in that 28 ride, let alone his rest of his career as a whole would have played
Well,
out.
same goes for Adam Petty. If he wasn't killed at New Hampshire in the practice crash, who knows what he could have done?
And Kenny Irwin in the same year Adam
Yeah.
got killed. At the same track, Adam got killed. At the same place, Adam got killed. But only difference is that there was 2 months apart. Adam in May 12th of 2000, and Kenny Irwin again a couple months later in July, also in 2000. Again, it boggles my mind. They perished at the same place, at the
Like
same spot, same place, same turn where they got killed. Absolutely,
crazy.
you pretty much took the word right out of my mouth. It's insane to comprehend. And
It is.
yet, you also had Tony Roper that got killed in Texas in 2000. Yet, NASCAR didn't do a damn thing. It took them right when Dale Earnhardt got killed in the 500 in 2001. It took them from that. It took them that long for them to finally do something. And then,
Yep.
when Blaze Alexander got killed in an ARCA event in October of 2001, NASCAR really stepped it up. We haven't had a single fatality since Dale Earnhardt's death in 2001. February 18th, 2001 was the last time someone got killed in an event of a NASCAR race in the Cup Series.
I mean, there's been some crashes over the years where you're like, how is that person still alive?
Well, what crashes come to mind?
Ryan Newman's crash
2020 Daytona.
from Daytona 2020. Austin Dillon's crash from Daytona in 2015, the
That one.
summer race to be exact.
Yes.
And I had another one in mind. Oh, Ryan Preece's.
Daytona several
I
months
think it's got,
ago.
yep. Those are three that I can think of.
Ryan Newman, Ryan Priest, and who was the other one? Austin Dillon.
Austin
Coincidentally
Dillon, yep.
enough, I say that considering you said Ryan Newman's flip, right? In 2020.
Yep.
Do you remember at the time the 2020 Daytona 500 was at the time the longest Daytona 500 race run?
Really?
Well, did you know that the 2003 Daytona 500 is currently, as of 2024, the shortest Daytona 500?
Hmm.
You know I'm getting with this, right? Ryan Newman flipped in both of them, 2003 and 2020. Ryan Newman flipped in both the shortest, as of right now, as of today, the
And the long.
shortest 500 in history, which is 2003, and at the time, the longest 500 in history in 2020. Same place, same spot. Only difference is 2003, he was able to walk away. And Jessica, as you know, and as I know, and I'm sure most of us know that are listening to this podcast, 2020, a different scenario. Luckily, he survived.
Yeah.
When I saw the
It was a
post that
miracle that he
NASCAR
survived.
said that his injuries were not life-threatening, one of my friends even said it. I even put it in the documentary that I did on the 01 500. That's when we knew NASCAR had done everything right since Dale Sr.'s death. And
Yep.
let me ask you a
They
question.
learned from it.
Let me ask you a question, Jessica. Do you believe that Ryan Newman's life was saved due to Dale Sr.'s death in 2001,
Yes.
as well as the safety measures that Ryan Newman pushed for NASCAR to do to implement as far as the safety was concerned, such as the Newman bar, which saved Ryan's own life. So, like I said, 2003 and 2020, Ryan Newman flipped in both the shortest and at the time the longest 500 in history. Same place, same spot. You say Ryan Priest,
Crazy.
he flipped in the 2023 Coke 0400 race.
That was
You
really scary.
if you rewind the clock 30 years previously, again, same place, same track, Rusty Wallace had his vicious flip in the Daytona 500 in '93 on the backstretch as well in Daytona. Again, same place, same spot. Well, almost the same spot because Ryan Preece had his flip just a couple of 100 yards from where Rusty flipped. But still, you get my point.
Yeah.
You said also, who did you say again? You said Ryan
Austin
Newman,
Dillon.
Austin Hill from 2015. What was
That was that was insane.
what was Austin Dillon's car number? Even now, what's his car number?
Number three.
Hold on. Before I say anything else, you saw that race live, didn't you?
I wasn't in the stands, but I was watching on TV.
I was about to say, but you were watching it live on TV.
Yeah, I stayed up the entire race because it was rain delayed for the longest time.
Every time I kept track of the leaderboard, Dale Jr. was leading. Okay? I said to myself, man, at this point, Dale Jr.'s got it won. Then when I look back again, the race was finished and he won. But little did I know of what happened regarding the finish. Watching the
Which
footage
was
for the first time,
oh,
it was bone chilling,
when it
to say
happened
the
live,
least. What?
I literally when I was watching that crash happen live, my mouth dropped. I'm like, holy moly, is Austin Dillon dead?
Was that the same thing that was going through your mind when Ryan Newman had his record Daytona in 2020?
Well, I was actually working at that time, so
Oh,
I didn't get to see it happen live, but I did see the replay of it. I'm like, that was bone chilling too.
So you were working at the time when the race was happening,
Yeah.
when Newman had
Yes.
his wreck.
Yep.
But when you I would assume when you got home, that's when you watched the footage of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it live. I just couldn't move after seeing that
Yeah.
wreck. I remember saying "Holy S" numerous
All
times.
you
I
all you
mean, can
wanted
you
to see
blame
was
me?
that.
Can you blame me for saying
No,
it
all you
numerous
wanted to see
times?
them was get out of that car, or at least know that they're okay and that they're moving and conscious.
Only difference is that Austin Dillon was able to walk away. Ryan Newman in
Yes.
2020 did not.
Yeah. That made that even more scary.
It's bone chilling to comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
But again, regarding Austin Dillon, though, real quick, what car number was he and still is to this day?
Number three.
What was Dylan Hart's number throughout his career?
Number three.
Most of his career, I should say.
Number three.
And where did Dale Sr. get killed?
Daytona.
We
2001.
we all thought it was deja vu all over again. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. In
Four,
other words,
14
thankfully,
years later.
Austin, Noah Ryan, for that matter, they survived. In other words, they
Yeah,
did
and
not get killed from those wrecks.
one thing I don't
Is what I'm
understand
trying to
is he
say.
went into the catch fence, all right, and that's where the fans are,
I was
all
about to.
right.
Are you referring to when a fan sued NASCAR
Yes,
years later?
but but if you look on when they had physical tickets for the races, you read on the back that they're not liable for injuries that come with the racing because the track can't control that.
Exactly.
They can't control how the crashes happen. Now,
Exactly.
could they make their track more safer for when stuff like that happens? Yes.
I mean, do you remember in 1987 when Bobby Allison had his wreck at Talladega?
Not really.
Makes me wonder if that was the same trend in the 80s when that happened in 1987 in the spring. Or even Carl Edwards at the same racetrack, but years later in 2009 in the spring. Boy, it works wonders how the NASCAR fan base works and how the sport as a whole is when it comes to this kind of stuff. And that's another thing too.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a video too on what NASCAR fans should say or do whenever a stereotype comes to their face. And one of them says, or points out that, again, this is a YouTube video that I saw not too long ago, that you just watch because of the wrecks,
Yeah, there's people out there that really like the crashes. And they don't like when they're just going around in circles,
quote
not doing
unquote.
anything. Like,
You forgot to put circles in quotes because it's ovals for one. And secondly, there's a lot more to it than just what you think.
yeah, they don't know the science behind our sport.
Oh, and
That everything that goes
not to
into it.
mention, they've added more roller coasters to the calendar recently,
Yeah.
these last couple of years. So the more they do that, the more we can shut up those sort of stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Jessica, I swear, they're trying to be like F1. I swear.
I don't like it.
You remember the Chicago Street Course? The first ever NASCAR street race.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Me
I
either.
didn't
I
watch
did catch
that
the
long.
highlights though.
Shane Van Ginsenberg. I think it's how you pronounce it. Something like that. How you pronounce
Shane
his last name.
Van
He won.
Gisbergen, you mean.
Oh, it was close.
Shane Van Gisbergen in his first NASCAR race ever wins it. We haven't seen that since 1963 was the last time that happened. I forget who the driver was when that particular driver won in his first attempt in 1963, but before Shane Van Gisbergen won Chicago what the hell was I about to say? In 2023 last year, that hasn't been done in if I did the math correctly, 60 years. Absolutely insane to again, that record will not be broken for a long time. Because of how hard.
All right, well, I have to get going.
Oh man, Jessica, it was fun. It was fun talking to
This
you.
was very fun.
And
Same to you, Calvin.
No problem. I'm hoping to get you on more of these episodes as the podcast grows over time. Hoping to
And I
get
would
you on
love
for
to.
more. I'm not going to hold you up for much longer and let you go. So until then, Jessica, see you on the other side.
See you on the other side.
And to those listening, this is Turn 4 Productions signing off the mic as always. And until next time, and further notice, peace out, stay safe, and have a good one.